God, it's a casual geographic video. This is animals that make no sense in the same place. Tie to me.
This video is brought to you by pure hyperfixation, severe undermedication,
loud,
and an 8-second clip from 2021. Let me learn you something.
Oh my.
Severe undermedication, and an 8-second clip from 2021. Let me learn you something.
That each other exist.
What, don't know they exist?
Sharks have no clue that camels exist, and nobody's talking about it.
I'll talk about it, because you're loud and wrong, sir. The animals nicknamed the ships of the desert will take that moniker literally, as there's a group of camels that seemingly defy nature by swimming. Sometimes to outrageous degrees. Well, not really. Maturing is realizing it takes much less time to list the mammals that can't swim, and if you're not sure, just assume they can. And wouldn't you know, backpacking a hump of fat makes for an elite flotation device, which is why the animal built to survive the absence of water while also being able to pull up on you at sea is proof that the difference between reality and fiction is that fiction has to somewhat make sense. These hyper-developed swimming sand donkeys are known as the PKWY camels, and along with being a synchronized exercise in free will, this aquatic prowess.
I genuinely learned that through watching The Mummy. I don't know which mummy it was, but I feel like I learned that information through watching The Mummy.
Allows them to cross rivers.
Those movies are my favorite. Nah, real. Those movies, the Mummy movies, the National Treasure movies is oh my god. Oh my god. I love National Treasure movies.
Even shallow sections of sea to reach salty mangroves on the other side. And they're weirdly, almost disrespectfully graceful at it, and can keep at it for hours like nothing. In fact, I've seen hump jockeys struggle more with dunes. Act like you've been here before. So the chances you find a salt-seasoned sand llama off the Arabian Sea are low, but never zero. And there's at least one shark aware that camels exist. He told his friends. They did not believe him. And if that crossover wasn't weird enough, and it really should have been, it turns out shark and camel blood both contains tiny antibodies, nanobodies, that penetrate deep into tissues in a way nothing human can. And scientists believe that these nanobodies can be engineered to help humans treat diseases like cancer. That has nothing to do with this video, but that was just too weird a coincidence for me to just leave out. But yeah, anyway, some sharks do know camels exist. And it had me thinking, one of the consequences of the big cough of 2020 and the worldwide timeout that followed was that zoos now had to find new ways of keeping animals engaged. And to some, that meant showing them animals they'd never seen before. You had elephants excited to discover sea lions, penguins finding fish the likes of which they'd never seen, and a sea lion that could not believe the concept of a tegu. But then I thought, what about the most unlikely animals that do know about each other? And that's what this video is. Animals you would not expect to find in the same place,
dog and a whale,
in my biased opinion. I'll explain that later. Because depending on where you live, you might just think leopard seals exist solely in the South Pole as an opt to penguins. Well, one, penguins aren't even the biggest part of their diet, it's krill, but two, leopard seals have randomly appeared in places like Tasmania, New Zealand, South Africa, but especially Sydney, Australia. And it was a leopard seal in Sydney that was found with a full-grown platypus in its stomach. Obviously incredibly rare, but there was a brief but very real moment where a duck-billed bio-abomination and a rubber assault submarine were aware of each other, and a short time where you could have seen both. And that might not even be the most unexpected predator-prey crossover. And that's thanks to Pet Foolery for immortalizing
in what way would these two ever meet?
This nonsense right here. For the longest time, this has been one of my favorite animal facts to mess with people's heads. That a moose's habit of diving underwater for food means they are a natural prey for a high contrast steroid apex dolphin. And after saying it for years, I regretfully have to make a confession. It is true that the same megadeer that can dwarf cars on the freeway can also dive up to 20 feet underwater. That is if Musai doesn't just run across it. But there are very few, if not one main incident where they became orca fodder for it. This was in 1992, when two moose were swimming about a mile off of Alaska's Pleasant Island. Evidently, their experience was anything but, as the pair were quickly approached by 4 transient killer whales. One moose was murked and eaten on the spot, and the smaller of the two managed to escape, but proceeded to drown in a kelp bed. Since then, there have only been a few cases of swimming moose and deer getting opportunistically bossed up by killer whales, not nearly enough to be a habit. The fact remains that there are orcas fully aware of the concept of a tangler, which can result in a really bad day to be a moose. But again, super rare. But there's one animal.
Like, yeah, it's possible because clearly it happened, but like, it just don't. It, like, you know, like, it don't. What's the word? Like, it's like, right, so many things have to align. Why did everything align like that? It just, like, I don't know. know. It just something. You know, you feel me?
Crossover that has only gotten more common. This is the predator with the widest range in the Western Hemisphere for a mammal. So much so that depending on where you are, you might call it a cougar, a puma, a panther. They're not actually panthers. Mountain lion, catamount, I've never heard them called a catamount. Which means they have an exceptionally wide prey range, and the most random animal that has to worry about them are penguins.
Huh?
This picture is absurdly unserious, but the fact isn't. Magellanic penguins will breed at the very tip of South America, which means open season to a cat that probably couldn't believe its luck of finding a colony of birds that can't fly. God bless that penguin. He's trying to argue with a feline.
Ariana, what are you doing here? That's literally what this feels like.
Grim Reaper, and the Puma's just trying to get him to go out with some dignity. You genuinely need a whole new course in sex ed for them to just comprehend the level of they are. Imagine stumbling into a community of waddling refrigerated meat slurpees, and the Pumas treat them as such. So much that the Pumas in Patagonia have even reshaped their natural behaviors around the presence of penguins. It'll never not be weird to know you can find cats and penguins in the same place. Now imagine if it happened twice. If I had a nickel, somehow on a completely different continent, it's the same script with different characters, with Caracals in Cape Town plundering colonies of African penguins. Caracals have the juice to make gravity look optional, so discovering blubbery, flightless chicken nuggets is the worst thing the penguins could have asked for, to the point where officials had to relocate 2 Caracals after they murked 130 birds in only 2 months.
Damn.
I feel so bad for penguins, man. They really get bodied by the most random.
It's really not rare. This is a late night snack for them. Oh, this is a delicacy. Oh shit, you want that? I want to go get some cake and ice cream. All right, let's go down by the water, get them penguins. Like that's their cake and ice cream. You know what I'm saying? Celebratory
things. Like there is no way I should be able to look up armadillo eating penguin and actually get something. And
how? No, like genuinely how? Y'all the same size. That's real. I don't know. That's kind of oppy. That's kind of oppy to me. I'm not even gonna lie. That's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that?
I can't even show you that picture because of a turtle sloth turning a penguin into a ketchup packet. Just know, armadillos know about penguins.
Oh, wow.
And the penguins are not happy about it. Nobody gives flightless birds a break. Especially not the birds that can fly. Because there are ravens that not only are aware of the world's smallest penguin, but they'll go to some gruesome measures to grief them. Which actually sucks because for the longest time, foot-tall, 3-pound fairy penguins were somewhat safe on Australia's Phillip Island. But as recently as 20 years ago, scientists have noticed ravens randomly spawning in, much to the disaster of the pint-sized penguins. And these ravens have gone to extreme measures to raid their nests, like harassing the parents for hours to strong-arm them to surrender, or a pair of ravens working together with one raven distracting the parents while the other digs into the nest to pirate their progeny. There was an incident where a pair of ravens freaking yeeted a penguin parent off a cliff before poaching their offspring. Very unkind of them. There's way too much penguin prejudice in this section, so let's shift gears. Oh, come on, dude! Okay, but like, seriously, sea lions are interesting because despite their name, sea lions are much closer.
Why that shit deadass look like a little lion? What the fuck? Nigga got a mane and all that.
Okay, but like, seriously, sea lions are interesting.
That shit is crazy.
Because despite their name, sea lions are much closer to bears and the weasel crash out mustelids. Beach bears that do land part-time. Think of that every time you want to call one a sea puppy. Why they're called lions? Well, you're looking at the main reason why. But what if lions and sea lions met each other? Well, lions on a beach feels wrong, but it happens. Lions really don't get enough credit for how adaptable they are. And on Namibia's Skeleton Coast, some lions have started combing along the Atlantic coast and hunting resting fur seals. Which kind of felt wrong to me, you know.
Jesus, that's a lot. Yo, that's
along the Atlantic coast and hunting resting fur seals.
God damn. That's a fucking fuck ton. Jeez.
Which kind of felt wrong to me, you know. I grew up on watching them go after zebra, wildebeest, buffalo, but watching them stalk seals was weird. It was weird for the lions too because researchers noticed the lions seemed unsure of how exactly to go about hunting this new prey. But in lion fashion, these beach lions adapted to a diet of sea lions. I know I said fur seals, they're actually closer to sea lions, so you could delete that comment. Know-it-all. Making them the only lions known to hunt marine prey, which would technically make these lions marine mammals. Okay, not really, but it's still weird for me to see.
Also, lions know about stingrays. That's what that say under my camera chat. And he's currently looking at a stingray.
I'm talking about lions on a beach. That doesn't feel real. And for y'all that are gonna be like, obviously, how did you not know? Listen, I don't know what I don't know. Lions on a beach is like snow in Africa. I know it happens. it's still gonna earn a double take when I see it. In
Not
fact,
real.
I bet a number of y'all are stun locked on the snow in Africa thing. Like, yeah, that happens. They got
It gotta be like North Africa, like the northeast of Africa.
ski resorts too. So before I get accused of using Allen Iverson, yes, it does snow in parts of Africa, although I'm not surprised you're surprised. The way some of y'all talk about her, you'd think Africa actually was a country. Wait till you find out we have houses too. Alright, I'm projecting, but like bro, imagine being in high school and having someone genuinely ask you if your parents grew up in a hut. Then I say my grandmother's house is like 3 of yours and I'm the bad guy. Man, I did not need to say all that, but yeah, it snows in Africa. To be fair, the animals don't look too happy about it. Speaking of snow, 2 other animals you wouldn't expect in the same place, or at least you wouldn't if we share bias. I remember how mind blown I was when I found out grizzly bears and polar bears know each other. Now imagine how confused I was when I found out they do more than just know each other.
Breed?
To the point where growler bears are a legitimate thing.
I fucking knew it.
Or piz
I knew it, Pizzly. All right, Chad, growler bear or Pizzly? I think I fuck with Pizzly, bro. Growler just it sounds wrong. I don't know.
It depends on who the daddy is. Grizzly growler, polar pizzly. I guess it's not that surprising when you realize polar bears essentially evolved from brown bears. It's actually pretty interesting to see them on camera in the same place. And if you're wondering how these encounters go, a study showed that grizzlies usually dominate these interactions, with polar bears being submissive. And with a lot of encounters happening in places like whale carcasses, 132 out of 137 recorded interactions saw the polar bears giving way to the grizzlies. But evidently, they'll meet up to feed and breed, and surely the first polar bear to ever go grizzly forever disgraced her polar lineage. But I guess the rhyme's wrong. If it's black, attack, but if it's white, you'd be aight. It is wild that you have 2 apex predators that would normally have no love for each other, or in some cases try to eat each other, suddenly flipping a switch and breeding each other. It's an enemies to lover trope that sounds like it already has 2
Frozen
seasons on
rivalry.
Hulu. One theory
Alright.
says that the disappearing of the sea ice polar bears count on is forcing them further south where polar bears, especially females, can have run-ins with male grizzlies. Similar to other large predators like lions and tigers, male grizzlies will disperse well beyond their mother grounds, establishing a territory far removed from any possible relatives. This results in some males living on the absolute outskirts, and why virtually all the brown bears seen in the Canadian Arctic islands were male. So you take young grizzly nomads and hungry polar
Oh,
vagabonds
he was about to mount that motherfucker, wasn't he?
and 2 species that would have had minimal if any interactions are now humping out hybrids.
That shit is bright or round or or something. It's like it's funky looking. It's kind of cool though. It look illegal? Nah, for real.
It actually reminds me of wolves and coyotes because where wolves can't stand them, coyotes hate and fear wolves. But when humans nearly wiped wolves out, the population got so low that you got another season of enemies getting amorous. Now, thanks to the same humans that tried to flatline them, there is today a legitimate coy wolf population in the United States. But with the growlers and polars, it's still a super rare occurrence, but these occurrences have slowly been trending up. Just in 2017, researchers recorded 8 hybrids in the Arctic islands and traced them all back to a single female polar bear after she had mated with 2 male grizzlies. And you'd think this love child would be the ultimate OP predator, but what you actually get is a bear that can't properly fill the niche of either. Not polar enough to live on the ice, not grizzly enough to go fully forest. Basically, if Logic the Rapper was a bear. Luckily, the next 2 animals don't have this problem. One, because a crocodiler is physically, fundamentally, biologically impossible.
Is it though? I thought that would have been a little bit more common.
But even if it weren't, they'd kill each other before they got the chance. Now, maybe I'm uninformed, maybe everyone's a lifelong herpetologist but me, but I did not know that you could find crocodiles and alligators in the same area code. And to further risk my credibility, I didn't think North America even had crocodiles until like last year. In my defense, there's only one place on the planet where alligators and crocodiles cross paths, and it's in the Everglades.
Of course it's the fucking Everglades. It's always it's either fucking the Amazon or the Everglades or Australia. The Amazon, the Everglades, or Australia. Of course.
Because it will always be Florida. That's where this video was taken of the 2 tankiest reptilians throwing down. So let's break it down. Well, Marv, here you can see the belly to the pavement gator wants no smoke. He is not trying to see him later. Meanwhile, Mr. Crocodile wants all the— oh, that's a strong hit to the gator, who is fully on the defensive. Now the crocodile's closing in with the confidence of the higher ground. That is the difference, off-road suspect.
Damn. I'm good. I'm good off both, actually.
Can make. It's looking bad for the gator at this rate. We won't see him later. He's gonna have to put something on the board because he is losing on the score. Oh, another hit. This to the back of the skull. Taking a page out of the Jaguar Panthera playbook, and he has drawn blood. Our gator may have to. Oh, the first offensive move by the gator, and it is a beautiful counter. Fun fact, folks, the crocodile, strongest recorded bite force on Earth, but their jaws can be held together by bare hands, and the gator has taken full advantage. He might be able to. Oh, more punishment. To the man that bet the house on the gator, your wife you will not be seeing later. God bless us all. Just another day in the Florida Everglades. But yeah, crocodiles and alligators in the same place. Kind of crazy. But that's just Florida. But there is one place that has arguably the most insane animal crossovers on Earth. And it's a place you've probably overlooked. And that's because India does not get enough credit for the sheer biodiversity they house. Virtually no other country has more species of wild cats. And with tigers, leopards, rare snow leopards, and even rarer Asiatic lions, India also has 4 of the 5 major big cats. They even got some cheetahs in there too. But it's the predator interactions in India that are notable. Specifically the beef between a big cat and a bear. Sloth bears are insectivores fueled by the generational trauma of being preyed on by the biggest cat. So their main defense is being as offensive as possible, crashing out in ways that can make even a big cat backpedal, which makes sloth bears the overgrown honey badger of India. Or at least it would if India didn't already have them. Not only does India have honey badgers, but tigers are very aware of them. Now, this is the only clip I could find, and I'm gonna pause it right here because that weasel
Smacked the shit out of him.
was clearly not doing well, but it is interesting that the same scene we're used to seeing with lions also plays out with tigers. India doesn't just have a honey badger, they have a hyena too, the lesser known striped hyena. They're career scavengers, and with them often trailing behind much larger predators, they're basically the coyote to the tiger's wolf. They're also that to a literal wolf, cause yeah, Indian wolves are a thing, and the wolves and hyenas have something of a rivalry, where a single striped hyena can displace the single smaller wolf, but Indian wolf packs can send a hyena packing. Although I've also seen striped hyenas take on multiple wolves, so it just shows that there are no absolutes in nature. But studies also show that sometimes striped hyenas will travel with wolf packs and even share dens with them, which is a plot twist I was not expecting. Striped hyenas will also cross paths with sloth bears, sometimes foraging in the same space. Although the only interaction I could find of the two was a striped hyena carrying the disembodied head of a past tense sloth bear. That's my comfort character right there. Anyway, back to the Indian wolves, they also have run-ins with tigers, although for obvious reasons, those don't usually go the wolves' way, and they try to avoid them. Especially because tigers are often the ones nerfing the wolves' numbers. But because wolves are wolves, there have also been occasions of packs harassing and mobbing the much larger tiger, even following them to drive them away from dens despite the risk. Which is honestly everything I love about them. Side note, can we just take a moment to acknowledge the beauty of an animal most people don't know exists? But to make a long story short, if you told me that there's a country with 1/3 of all the cat species, 4 out of the 5 big cat species, the world's deadliest bear, a lesser known hyena, an even lesser known wolf, and a honey badger, well, I'd call it the greatest crossover event in nature. And now I see why the Jungle Book was based there. But that's gonna do it for this video. If this video gets more than 200,000 likes, I will make a video on Indian animal lore, because there is a lot of it. Just ask this guy. But for now, drink water, hug your mother. Reminder, there's a shark out there that knows about camels. Let Pops know you appreciate him, and I'ma see y'all in the next one.
Alright, man. Shout out Casual Geographic, man. Another banger.
Banger.